next gear. Reko Shantana Messiah. I want you to pray wherever you are as we are waiting for Pastor Lima Poniane to just come in. I want you to begin to pray in tongues on the Rabashanda. I'm not even supposed to be on here, but I just feel the Holy Spirit pressing, women of God. I just want us to begin praying in tongues as we are going into the next level. Hallelujah. We are going and pressing into the next gear. Hallelujah. God is about to do a great thing. Hallelujah. Meko Santana Mashende Ramasondo. Oroko Shentana Maseke Yendera Basondo. Imandera Basheke Yenderebo Santa. Ike Sontorobo Shentana Masaya. Oroko Sontoromo Shantana Mayenderebo Sonto. Irakashenderebo Santa Rabasonda. Imeke Santana Masheke Yendorobo Sande. We are about to go to the next level. We are about to go to the next gear. Ikemo Santana Mashenda. Ukenda Basondorobo Shanda. Meke Yendorobo Sheke Yenderama Santa. Eke Sondera Bashika Yendorobo Sande. Imendorobo Shentala Basoko Yondorobo Sanda. I'm calling all the intercessors right now. Those that are sleeping, let them be awakened. Imeko Shantena Makasondela Basaya. No devil, we will not sleep. Father God, somebody is saying more, oh God. More, oh God. I need to hear this more. Somebody's pressing in the spirit and say, God, take me to another level. Take me to another dimension. In Revelations, God said, come up here. Wherever you are right now, come up into the spirit. Press in, press in, pressing in prayer, pressing in intercession, pressing in tongues, Okondoroboshanda, Imekosonte Namasenda Rabashanda, Yekandereboshanta Lamaseke Yenderabosanda, Mikenderoboshanta Labasaya. Father, we refuse any interruptions in the name of Jesus.
When we did our last show, you had talked about we really should talk about creating and manifesting, and I'm like, okay, let's do that. And that seemed to have a big impact on me this week because I thought this is a great thing to play with. Sorry, just reining in,
it's there in your pyramid of wellness. It's there in your pyramid of wellness, and it's it's something I just live my life by. You know, I think if I was to describe myself, if I had any kind of a spirituality, if you like, it's very much that. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, and manifesting is a big part of that, right? So
good. Well, we're going to take a great look at that today. But first, let's take a moment to focus. It's something I've added to the show that I think I just really like it. It helps all of us sort of come together in a point of focus right here, right now, and just getting present with ourselves, which I think is a huge step in helping build that foundation of wellness. So at this very moment, I'm going to ask everybody to just take a moment, if you want to gently let your eyes close or open, whichever is most comfortable, and just become aware of your breath right now. Don't try to change it. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to do anything with it. Just be aware of it. How does it feel? Just feeling into your breath, which brings you fully present in your body. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the fullness of your breath. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Where does the breath go when you breathe? Are you able to follow it? Remember, breath is energy. Energy is breath. Breath is chi. Breath is prana. Breath is life force. So the more we can become aware of the movement of breath through our being, the more powerful our foundation. So now we're going to really focus that breath. Now that you're in touch with your body and present and focused in your breath, now we're going to manage the breath. So what I want you to do is we're going to inhale to a count of 4, and then we're going to hold it at the top, and then we're going to release it to a count of 6, and then we're going to hold it at the bottom. And it's going to create a bit of a discomfort potentially, but know that what we're doing here is you're cycling out old energy, cycling in new energy, getting rid of old stale energy, old stale air, bringing in fresh new oxygen to stimulate the body, to stimulate the blood, to stimulate the entire system full of aliveness. Keeping your focus on the breath, we'll begin with an inhale to 4. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Filling completely, holding at the top, relaxing into the hold. And then let it all out through the mouth. Out. 2, 3, 4. Pushing it out. 5. All the air. 6. Now relax there just a second. And bring the air back in through the nose, inhaling. 2, 3, 4, fully expanded, holding at the top, and releasing. 2, 3, pushing that air out. 4, 5, all of the air leaving. 6, feel that emptiness, relax into it, and take it again on your own pace. 3 more breaths. Inhale and take it up for 4. Holding, releasing. Inhale. Holding at the top. Release. Pushing all that air out. Last time. Filling all the way up. Holding, relaxing, releasing. Pushing it all out. And allow your body to relax as you just watch the rhythm of your breath for another second. Feel your presence, feel your aliveness, feel your energy. And then bring yourself back into the space when you're ready. Open your eyes. And away we go. Great job,
Beautiful.
y'all. Great job. So
my
we are
phone
going
went to sleep. I was so I was so into that. Even my phone went.
just said, quiet time. We like quiet. So today we're going to talk about 2 aspects of the wellness model, and probably for many this is the exciting part, the part where we're getting into creation and into manifestation, and I think as Deb alluded to, a lot of that idea is really driven from the concepts that have been presented through the law of attraction. Law of attraction is an incredible, foundational, wonderful, amazing philosophy and understanding of energy in the universe and energy in our lives. And I've spent years being a part of that process. It's been a very foundational thing for me because it really sets the tone for how I engage in my life in any meaningful way. So let's talk about the pyramid for a second and just do a quick review of what this wellness model is about. And Deb, I know you have a strong connection to law of attraction. Would you like to add anything to that, as far as what you experience from it and what you gleaned from that experience, from that?
Where do I start? Yeah, just lots of practical examples of it. Even with my own son being in this world was to a very large extent manifested. Because I was a big unknown in terms of whether I could get pregnant or not. And my husband had to undo some surgery, and so we had a lot of things stacked against us. I was in my early 40s, so there were a lot of things stacked against us, but just this unwavering belief, I think it is, with intense feeling, to back that belief up, I believe is the key to manifesting what you really desire. I don't think it's enough to think good things if you don't feel the good thing as well. And just a really steadfast knowing that this is something that's going to come to pass. And then just letting that go in a way has been my experience. So letting go of the how we get there, but just that we're going to get there. And that's probably the hardest part about it. But once you can get your head around that, there really is no saying what you can't do in your life,
Amen to that.
But it takes practice, like everything else.
It does. It's another tool in the toolbox, and it's a very powerful tool when utilized. I know the challenge can be, like with any philosophy or any ideas, that if it isn't integrated and you don't understand it in your own experience, it just gets lost. It becomes something else, and so people can become disheartened or frustrated because, well, how come it doesn't work? Because they're thinking of it as a Band-Aid on their skin instead of a remodel of the house, kind of experience. So
yeah, I like that.
So here we go. Let's take a quick look here. I'm going to throw this up so you can all see it. So this is the model that we were talking about. This model of transformation is largely and solely based on the idea of what we do and how we do it. And at the foundation of our whole entire human experience is the breath. And that when we learn how to manage our breath, when we become conscious of our breath, we become conscious of our energy. And as we become conscious of our energy and our breath, and we begin to learn how to use them, we begin to find there is this strong alignment here with how I feel when my breath is working, how my life is working, how things are working, because the entire foundation is built on breath or energy. As I was saying in the meditation, that breath is chi, it's life, it's prana, it's life force, it is the energy that animates us, and it's a critical piece of what keeps us physical and alive on the planet. So given that that's the thing we do the most every day, regardless of whether we're conscious of it or not, the idea is, let's start with what we do the most of, and how can that influence the rest of our experience? Well, interestingly enough, it has tremendous influence and tremendous impact. And that impact is that once you understand the foundation of breath within the context of your own experience, when you have breath managed, when you know how to work with breath and you allow the breath to release tension and open your field, you begin to quiet the mind. It becomes a sort of second nature thing. It's still a process, but you become less attached to the operation of the mind. And so the mind can throw things and bring things and present things, but they all become objects in the field of your awareness, as opposed to things that you are reacting to on a regular basis. Again, you've taken the flow, you brought the flow in, that flow and that breath have aligned you to your higher expression, and that higher expression now is not about small m mind, it's not about small s self, it's about aligning to the highest aspect of self. So the smaller mind begins to become part of the larger mind, the greater mind, as it were. And again, you learn to become quieter. So first two steps, breathing, mind, and then as your mind becomes quieter, integrating and rejuvenating is actually is all about sleep. It's all about rest. It's all about taking care of this physical vessel. So as the mind is quieted, as the breath is full and the mind is quieted, our ability to then rest becomes much easier, because when we go to sleep, we do recharge. When we go to sleep, we're not carrying lots of debris and energy into our quiet space that has to be processed, which leaves us exhausted and tired the next day, or leaves us bound up, or leaves us confused, or any kind of negative emotional state that's potential that exists there. So these three really powerful foundational elements, integrating, breathing, settling the mind, coming to integrating, is what's going to set the foundation for the next part of our conversation, which is diving into the creation and manifestation. Deb, would you like to jump in there as anything there that strikes you?
Just to reiterate, one of the things that we touched on last time, or that came out of our session looking at those first three, which was part of that integrating and restoring was being able to download everything that was still in our mind, get it out on a piece of paper randomly, just get it out there so that we could then fully rest. And you were telling us about how you had literally done that a day or two prior to that, and that you really had never felt such a serene, calm nothingness in terms of the chatter in your mind for a period of hours, right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's continued very successfully. It's been
fantastic.
I've continued that. You know, I went through, as I go through, I look and I'll take certain times throughout the day and I'll go, oh, geez, I wonder where I am with that list of stuff I put together. And I'll pull it out and scratch. So I had so many scratches now, I started a new piece of paper because I had new things coming on the list. So I said, okay, I'm not there with these yet. I'll put these over on the new page. And I threw away the old page and now I have a new page, but I'm accomplishing and as I was sharing with you before the show, so many things are coming together and it's not, I feel great. It feels great. I feel great. It's happening beautifully and I'm learning, you know, a lot of production stuff on the back end of the show. I'm becoming very adept at audio manipulation and video manipulation and things that I just never would have thought I would have paid a whole lot of attention to.
That's fantastic.
Pretty cool. So on the flip side of this, let's look at what happens when we're not attentive, when we're not focused in wellness. And this second model is just showing how that evolves, where we start with unconscious breath, meaning that there's no attention. It's just the shallow sort of chest breathing that we're used to, that we don't pay a lot of attention to because the body's taking care of itself. But what that leaves us in is a continual state of reactivity, a continual state of at effect. Because again, the idea that our breath is somehow controlled by something other than us is sort of the mantra of most of our lives. So if you begin to understand that the breath is yours to manage, it's not something that is necessarily useful to ignore or to go unconscious about. You'll find the tremendous change that can happen. So in that area of unconscious breath, when we're there,
that your word will continue to sustain us at all times. We decree and we declare, oh God, that we will eat your scroll. We decree and we declare, oh God, that it shall be bees. It shall be like honey unto our tongues, oh God. We decree and we declare that we will run in that truth. We decree and we declare, oh God, that we will understand that it is in our storm where you are building us. We decree and we declare, oh God, that we will understand that our wilderness is a place where you want to reconcile with us.
Resolution, because you have worked the physical energy out of your body, but you've not worked any other energy out of your body. So physically you may feel better, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually, nothing's really changed. And actually, in some cases, you're driving that energy even more deeply into your psyche as opposed to releasing it. And again, I'm not saying that working out is a bad thing. I'm saying understand why you do everything you do, not just the things you feel like thinking about.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful what you said about beating the stress further into you. Ooh, that really got some, that resonated with me.
Yeah, it's a tough one for people to really realize that they're not doing themselves a service when it's coming from that place. If in the context you're using breath and you're conscious of that and you're beginning to be more conscious of that and the mind is quieter, when you go to do activity, then the activity is driven from that inspired space because it's all connected and related. So if your body and your space are craving that kind of workout, you'll go, oh, cool, I'm ready, and it'll feel good and you'll be excited. Personally, what I find is that becomes less appealing. I want to do things more like yoga and Tai Chi, where it's about me focusing on my energy and my muscles and my body and my mind in a way that's all interconnected. And again, you can still achieve that in the context of doing a workout, but when you think of how and why you've been doing that activity, it's really important to understand what drives it. It's typically always about inadequacy. It's not about health when it's not about wellness.
That's so right. That is
right.
So right. It's very much, I must do this. I should do this. I should. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the byline is I'm fat, I'm out of shape, I'm old, I'm hurting, I'm not.
I need to tone up.
Yes. You probably have different
yeah,
phrases for it down there in the New Zealand land than I have for it here.
Yeah.
But they all say the same
right.
thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's either to do with the way I look or the way I'm aging. Yeah, and what people say my body needs, so that it doesn't deteriorate more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than feeling into what my body needs.
So as we transition now into really talking about creating and manifesting, the first part of this that really struck me is that I want to ask you all a question. And just like we did in the meditation this morning, we've been here all day already.
It's my morning. It's my morning, so that's good. It's all good.
It's good.
Yeah.
So the two questions that come to mind for me are, how are you creating? So if you're in the meditation we were doing, it was about being conscious and present into how does the breath feel. So when you are thinking about creation or creating, how do you create? And you may not have an answer for the question, and that's okay. So don't spin yourself into any kind of craziness if you can't say how you're creating. It's part of the process of becoming conscious and part of the process of understanding how the energies work in your experience. And what Deb and I are going to present here is going to be way more a positive, uplifting process, so that you should not, in any part of the process, feel your energy drop out or feel your energy spiraling down. And if it is, that's a good opportunity to stop and ask yourself, what am I creating right now? And why? Because I'm having a response to whatever's being said. That response is causing a reaction in my system. Why? This all sounds really interesting. Why would I be having a reaction? That's the part of becoming conscious that says, oh, this is how I create a lot of things in my world. I don't hear well. I don't listen well. I don't connect to the information. I'm listening to the dialogue in my head and not to the dialogue that's occurring in the event that I'm paying attention to. There are a lot of possibilities here. So the first is, again, how are you creating? In this case, the how is a good question only because it's bringing awareness, not because I expect you to have a scientific response. Does that make sense? I hope
so you're asking me, how am I?
I'm asking. Well, and if you would like to answer the question as a part of the dynamic, you're welcome to. And I'll do the same.
Okay. Well, if I look back on sort of what has happened in our lives in the last sort of 6 to 9 months, how we have been creating, and our lives have undergone quite a lot of change in that time. So how we've been creating was, I guess, first of all, picking up on signs. There were many signs coming to us that were validating a kind of a gut feeling that we were having about things. So we had a real gut feeling about the fact that we figured we were overdue for some sort of a recession or a bit of a burst in the old housing bubble or something along those lines. And I guess feeling into a bit of an unsettled feeling throughout last year. But on the flip side of that, we'd had a very positive year. The start of our year, we'd gone traveling over to the UK with our family. We'd taken my husband's parents and my son, and we had a lovely 6-week holiday in a camper van, and we'd been living life on the road, living life very simply, and having such a beautiful time with it. And that was also reiterating for us feelings of, we don't need much. We'd been feeling that way. We'd been feeling like we needed to declutter and simplify life, like we had too much stuff. And that was like another validation, if you like, of this kind of way we were heading. And so we were feeling into and moving towards what our hearts and guts were sort of trying to lead us towards, I suppose. And so this led us towards the end of last year. We thought, well, why don't we put our house on the market and see what we can get? Because just to back up a little, we've had a 10-year dream to basically go sailing around the world. And we were 5 years into this dream, and we still had a mortgage with a massive house. We didn't have a yacht. We weren't sailing. So we were really no closer to achieving our dreams. And we realized we needed to make some step forward. I'm a big believer that when you are putting your intentions out there into the universe of what you're wanting to attract, if you can't take a step forward to meet the universe, then you're not in a place of preparedness to take advantage of any opportunity that the universe might just send you, right? So we decided to put our house on the market and see what happened. And nothing much was happening. We were having open homes, but not a lot of serious interest. And that's when we started thinking, well, how badly do we want to be living on a boat? And we started thinking of alternatives that we would be open to. We would be open to asking some friends of ours who had a boat if we could lease it from them for a while and try living on the boat. And just, so we were prepared to do something quite outside of our plans of what we thought we were trying to achieve for ourselves. And as soon as we did that, energetically, everything shifted with the house sales. Interest came in. All of a sudden, there was an offer, or there were a couple of offers, and I felt like that was a big shift in terms of we still had faith that what we wanted to be doing was being on a boat and learning to sail, right? And even if the house wasn't going to sell, we were still determined. Well, that's what was our intention. We were getting clear on our intention, and as soon as we were clear on our intention, lo and behold, the universe sort of came back to us with offers. And the craziest thing is with this whole story is that in the end, the people that bought our house were actually living on a boat. They were living on a yacht.
No way.
And they were looking for a home, and we were looking to leave our home and looking to buy a yacht and live on a yacht. So we effectively switched lives. And if that wasn't a massive sign of validation, that I don't know what is. It was the weirdest synchronicities that you could imagine. And another funny thing about the story is that they got very close to what we were wanting in the house price, but not quite. And when we realized that they were moving from a home into a 6-bedroom house, we offered them all of our furniture. And a big part of me was like, oh, but we're letting go of all of our stuff. But then this other part of me, the intention that I'd been wanting to create this simplified life, the simple life, right, to have less stuff, all of a sudden there was the answer. The universe was going, well, just give away everything that you have. Just give it all away. You don't just take what you need and can fit on a boat. And so that, again, I could never have conjured up such an outcome. It was just the perfect outcome. And of course they said, yes, that would be fantastic. So it was a real win-win. And the flow, the ease and flow was just undeniable. And it's one of those times that there's more at play here. I could not have dreamt up a more perfect scenario for myself. It would never have occurred to me, that we could sell the house to people who were living on a boat and literally switch lives. Who would have thought? But that's exactly how it happened. And the main reason was that we had a very clear intention of where we wanted to be. We weren't connected to the outcome of how we were going to get there. And as soon as that we kind of took that leap of faith, I guess, everything just slotted in and flowed. And there were more synchronicities, in terms of finding our ideal boat and everything. The story goes on and on. I could write a book.
And it's wonderful. And go ahead. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, but that's just my very real and practical experiences of the law of attraction, I guess, and of manifesting. Yeah. Beautiful.
And I'm going to take this opportunity, as I said earlier, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to promote my book. Yay! And I'm excited about it. So bear with us. We will be back in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Jim Case here with the Science of Transformation and Adventures in Truth podcast. I am super excited to tell you about my new book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love. This book is a deep dive into the evolution of fear in our human experience. I truly believe this book will change your life. When you read it and integrate it and apply this new understanding of what fear is and how it works, how it's used, you see that fear truly is a choice, whether we're using it consciously or unconsciously. And that awareness will create quantum change in your life. And the freedom that you can experience is extraordinary. Head over to www.adventuresintruth.com and sign up for pre-sales and getting information about the distribution of the book. I'm excited to share it with you, as well as some excerpts going into the future. And thank you for being part of the Science of Transformation family and Adventures in Truth. Have an amazing day. Woohoo!
Nice one. That's so cool.
Yes. Thank you. So
Exciting this is coming.
It is a lot of good, exciting things coming. I want to say how wonderful and amazing your sharing of your story is, because I have to be totally honest with you. I very rarely find people who can detail the joy and the manifestation process as clearly. And it's been a source of challenge for me, because I get so excited, because it's never a simple thing. It's this blossoming of incredible experiences over and over and over again. And to hear you sharing it in that capacity just lit me up in a big way, because I don't hear people talking that way enough. And when they hear me talking that way, they're like, that's really nice. But that's exactly that's what creation is. That's what manifestation is. I'm going to share a quick story, if I could, because it just happened. It's a much shorter version story, but
good.
Yeah. Well, no, because what I want to show here is that it is about the grand and the overarching scheme of life, but it's about all the minutiae as well.
Oh yes,
And
the devil's in the detail. No, it's beautiful. The detail's beautiful.
Michael and I were sitting here at home day before yesterday, and I got a hair about needing to change our phone carriers. We had AT&T he's had them for 20 years. I've had them for 12 years, and for some reason, I don't remember where it came from, but in the moment, I just looked at him and I said, I need to go to the phone store and we need to do this. And I need you to come because you got to have your phone. And he was like, oh my God, I just want to take a nap. Would you just let me know? I'm like, please, 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 just come with me. It'll take an hour. We'll be fine. So he did, grousing all the way, not very happy about it, but got in alignment with it, got to the store, went to talk to the guy. In the course of an hour, he changed our phone. So we changed our phone service. We decreased our bill by $100. He gave us $100 a month. He gave us, because we do our internet with them, he gave us a new streaming service for free. That's part of the deal because we signed up with our phones. We're getting 2 $50 gift cards in the mail for signing up with them and doing some, I don't know, auto pay thing or whatever. So we went there with the intention of investigating and walked away saving like $150 a month in our monthly expenses, have more than we walked out with. And the guy walked up to us at one point and handed us a couple of beverage mugs, insulated beverage mugs, metal insulated beverage mugs, just as a promotion. So we walked out with a bag of goodies, all of this brand new stuff that completely serves our purpose. And we save money on our monthly expenses. And again, it's not, it's material in focus, but I'm not about not being material. I live in the world.
But how long had you been wanting that? How long had you been intending to
talking about
address
that for probably a year or better before?
Wow.
But the thing about it was, the trick was in the moment of it wasn't like I woke up that morning going, okay, we're going to go do this. And and I got to talk Michael into it. Literally, we were hanging out and I said, we got to go. Like, I got to go now. Can we go do this now? And he's like, really? Right this second? I'm like, yeah, we really got, trust me. I really feel like I got to, me, I don't need to go to any store ever for any reason. So if I'm saying, let's go to a store, can we just go? And
that's fantastic.
That's what unfolded. But again, that happens on the macro just as much as it does on the micro. So, but all of that comes from understanding that's the answer to the question, how are you creating? It's seeing the serendipity, it's seeing and experiencing, because when it's unfolding, in my experience, it's filling me full of all kinds of satisfying moments, of all kinds of goofy little things that I hadn't been thinking about, that all of a sudden are getting resolved or getting fixed or getting upgraded, or I'm getting something better. And it's all things that I've had in my thought process. But this single event pulled it all together. And all I had to do was feel it. All I had to do was be present for that nudge that said, go to the store. Go to the store.
Exactly. Yes. And that is an intuitive. That's your intuition speaking, isn't it? And our intuition is, you could also say is your gut instinct. Your gut instinct, that's your inner self talking to you with a very quiet little voice there, but it's just like, do that now. And if I ignore it, I constantly pay for it. And just 2 days ago, I was parking in town. I was just whipping to pick up something from a friend. I was going to be 5 minutes. I was like, what's the likelihood of getting a ticket? And but I had this little thought.
But you had the thought.
Just get the ticket. Just get the ticket. I'm like, no, I don't want to flaff around with the parking. I'm only going to be 5 minutes. And I ran off and I came back, and $40 later, sure enough, there was the ticket. And I just go, I used to get really angry about these things, but now I just go, okay, got the message, not going to ignore you next time.
Even that's brilliant.
It was an expensive lesson, but
that's brilliant,
that is
because in the moment it forced you to stop and go, I literally had the thought, buy the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny it. You can't avoid your own voice. You go, oh.
No. It wasn't a shall I buy the ticket? It was just get the ticket.
Just get the damn
and
ticket.
then I talked that little voice out of it, and then it was like,
Okay.
if you're gonna ignore me.
And it's the beauty of law of attraction. It's the beauty of how all of that works.
It's that it's the intuition or the thought, that the intuitive thought or feeling or gut feeling or whatever it is, that's the spark, right? So everything else you've set in place, your intention, your dreams, your desires, what you've been putting out there with real feeling into the universe for, in your case, for a year, you'd been putting it out there that, you wanted better, telco arrangement, right? You just weren't quite, but not really necessarily taking any action, but until you just waited for that little spark, that little spur of action, that little feeling. And the same going back to our story as well. We'd been, watching things around, financial personal management, managing your own finances and looking at what was going on potentially in the world. And we'd been watching things like that, but it was just this real kind of gut instinct. There was another thing. I received a letter in the mail from a real estate agent, and I never opened these things up, and I read it, and I actually really liked this person's approach. So I've never ever read one of those things or ever acted on them, and this was the first time ever, because I just liked that person's approach, which was around, house sales isn't just about selling your stuff, it's about why you're selling the house. I'm interested in helping you on your financial journey, because our homes and assets are just part of that financial journey. And I thought, I really like that, because for us it really was a financial journey. We were moving towards being debt free, so it resonated. And it turns out that was the perfect person to sell our home. But so there was a series of events, I guess. But what was the actual move to make us do it? It was a gut feeling. This person feels good, and this decision. What have we got to lose to put this house on the market and see what happens? And of course, once we just started to take some action, the wheels of motion just went, and it all flowed in the right way.
Yep.
So I think it's the spark, it's the kickstart, isn't it? The intuitive thought or feeling.
It is, and it's important to recognize. I want to acknowledge a couple things, and we're going to talk about what is manifesting at the same time, because I think it's important. So when I say I think it's important, it's relative to where I'm going with what I want to share about what you were talking about. So when you're asking yourself the question, what are you manifesting? The reason for that question is to become conscious of what's showing up in your world at any given moment. And when you see what's showing up in your world, you're looking at everything that you are manifesting. And everything that you are manifesting is sourced through you. So again, becoming conscious of when I say sourced through you, energetically sourced through you. So when you're looking at what's manifested, you're simply acknowledging all of that's there, and you can see the state of the state just in that moment. This is not a place that I want you to stay. This is not a place that I want you to live. This is just a place of observation on the road to consciousness. And I say this specifically because once you've engaged completely in what Deb and I are talking about, and really allowing yourself to be in that creative space, you don't ever want to be looking at or paying attention to what's happening presently, in the sense that you're not hooking or anchoring to a current creation, because that creation is part of the evolution that's occurring to get you to the next, to get you to the manifestation of the creation that is in your energy and in your heart and in your vibration. So to Deb's point about having that focus, from my perspective, it is always about the destination. So make sure that you're aiming not for the small thing, not for the thing you don't like or the thing you want to change, but the thing that you want that's creating the desire for change. So in Deb's case, it was, we have this desire to travel the world and live on a boat. That as soon as they got clear on that as the real destination, then everything had to line up to support that, as opposed to, I want to sell the house, because the house was not the destination. The desire was the destination. So I'm hoping you guys see that distinction. So important. Deb's words were right on and accurate, but I wanted to split it out a little bit more so that we could see how important it was to not undercast your desire. The desire was not to sell the house. The big desire was to live on a boat and travel the world. The selling of the house is part of how the universe will move things around to ensure that that happens, because you're in alignment with that thing, or that desire, or that feeling, or that whatever, what have you.
So another thing with that flow, when things start aligning and flowing, that's not to say it's always going to work that way. You might come across a little roadblock, a little bump, right? And I believe that's there to test you as well. It's there to test your resolve. How bad do you want this? Can you just reiterate what you want again? How bad do you want it? And it's also an opportunity for us to address that's usually when fear comes up too, right, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
We come across a little challenge, fear kicks in, and what is going to win over? You know, is it your fear or is it your desire? Which is it going to be? So there's always this little mini challenge along the way, and sometimes it happens once or twice or a few times. And if you can break through those, then I think things really do happen, and very quickly following that. But we certainly had that in our house sale situation. We're like, are we doing the right thing? Oh my gosh, you know, and it felt uncomfortable. Like that the fear was more of a discomfort. But when we kept on refocusing on, well, what's life going to look like after this? And how is it going to feel to be debt free? And, you know, and we really focused on those outcomes, then, yeah, everything else melted away. So I do think people will come across fear. You know, I know someone at the moment who has literally sold their house. It went unconditional. And she was contacting me saying, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? I feel so scared right now, because she, like us, is now facing a very new life. You know, getting a motorhome and being more nomadic, and there's something a bit scary about that. But I think once you break through, then life can just change and so quickly and flow in the direction that you're aiming. Yeah.
I want to put a little reframe on a little bit of what you were talking about, because I think it's true, but I also want to share a little different perspective in that, and I think that you probably experience this as well. There is, and they talk in Law of Attraction about when you're focused on your desire, the universe is going to conspire on your behalf and find the path of least resistance for you. What that means is that you have belief systems situated all over your field, all over your energy, and you don't necessarily know what stuff is in the subconscious about this desire you have in wanting to create. So as you focus on that desire and stay focused on that desire, those things that show up in your path, I think earlier in my life experience, I might have called them obstacles. Today, I don't call them that so much anymore, because I don't react to them the same way anymore. Meaning I don't have the fear response. I go, oh, well, why would this be here? What is this? What is this piece about? And so I'm addressing it in the energy that it is, and I'm allowing myself to be guided. My energy is guiding me to the path of least resistance. Well, I may have to confront a belief or two along the way, and depending on how entrenched I am in that belief will depend on how intense that period of time may be that I'll spend clearing my own space, getting my energy realigned. But the thing that I don't do anymore is I never lose sight of the destination. And that's the thing that I want to really drive home here, is that it doesn't matter what shows up. Never lose sight of the destination, ever, 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 unless there's something that moves inside of you that says, oh, I thought that's what I wanted. Notice, thought that's what I wanted. What I now know is what I feel. And that's shifted my perspective. So now I don't need to be over here, but really I want to be here. And to Deb's point, that everything goes, and suddenly a whole section of the path is wide open, and you're going, what just happened? I was only yesterday ready to commit harikari, and today, I'm ready to run and sprint a mile, because you stayed focused on the destination and you allowed yourself to just let the stuff show up and go, okay, this is something I need to deal with. Because many times too, there are things that'll show up that you don't even actually have to deal with. But if you're in reaction mode, then you're going to be diving into all that and getting distracted. If you're in observation mode, if you're in that connected space, you're going to see it, you're going to assess it, and then you'll allow and determine whether it holds any weight or significance, because you'll know in the feeling of where I'm going. So I hope that all kind of made sense.
Good call. Yeah.
I wanted to add also to this, because we talked about time. And when I was saying that it was like a year that we've been thinking about changing phone services, I'm going to use a little easier example, which is my book. I wrote the book going on 3 years ago. The book has been finished for 2 solid years. And
oh, wow.
I had been looking and seeking and asking and meditating and just keeping my energy. I have all these tools. I have all these things. Where is this book going to show up? And I met my editor through a very dear friend who just published a book. And I happened to say, do you think she's going to be interested? Would she be interested in working with me? And he said, well, I'll do an introduction. A year and a half ago, he introduced us. And this was in December of that year. And she said to me at the time, I would love to learn about your book. I'd love to get involved, but I won't have any space for it until February. So that was February of 19. I called her a year later. A year later, I sent her a note and said, hey, I'm not sure if you remember me, but I'm Moshe's friend, and I'd like to talk to you about getting my book published. And she said, oh my God, I can't believe you just reached out to me. I literally would be so excited. And the relationship that she and I have developed, her ability to write in my voice, her ability to understand the concepts that this book is putting out, has been nothing short of spectacular. But I had to wait some time for that. And I had to get to the place where I was ready to embrace the success of this book. And so now we're going to transition. So that how you're creating, how are you manifesting? I'm going to move this down the pike a little bit here, because how you're creating, how you're manifesting, allowing those things to unfold and allowing for not knowing. There was large chunks of time where I'm like, really? Because the way the book came to me was a total freaking download out of nowhere.
Really?
Yes. I was driving down a freeway coming from Parker, Arizona to home in San Diego at the time. And we had been on the road for a bit, and I had been hearing from my clients for a long time, Jimmy should write a book. Jimmy should write. And I'm like, what am I going to write a book about? I don't want to write a book. I have anything to write a book about. Driving down the road, and the book landed in my head, literally landed in my head. Fear is a choice. Here's page. This went on for half an hour. Page. I'm like, holy crap, I guess I'm writing a book. Because that was the thing I always said was, if I'm going to write a book, then I'll be inspired to write the book for whatever reason. I don't care, but it's not going to be something I'm going to decide to write a book. I want to be inspired.
So you even manifested how it happened.
Yeah. And I came back.
Wow.
It's so funny. I came back. We got home. The next day I got up, sat at the computer because I'm ready now. I got my download. I'm ready to go. 2 months later, not a word. Not a word came out of me. Not a thought came out of me about the download. I was just beside myself. And I was down in Mexico visiting my friend who was an author who had published a couple of books. And I shared with him the inspiration of the book and what had happened. And he was just so excited. And then he said, well, Jim, you just got to do the work. And that sentence, you just got to do the work, is a sentence I've said to my clients 400 times a day for the past 5 years. Like, just do the work. And I went, what do you mean? And then I went, oh, I've never been a writer. I don't have any idea what this is about. I need to change my whole thinking. I'm coming at this from, oh, I got to download, I'm important, instead of, oh, I got this download. Now, how do I align to this thing? How do I get lined up so that that thing can come through me? I came back from that trip the next morning. I woke up with the sentence, I want to take you on a journey. And I was so excited about that sentence. I got up and went to the computer and wrote 20 pages. And it went that way for the next 3 months. Every time I'd get up, I'd come out of meditation, I'd have a thought. And I would go sit down and I'd just start typing. And it would just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. But then 2 years later, I'm going, I have this really powerful, amazing tool to offer. Why are you not using? So for a period of time, and still I will continue to do this, I incorporated it into my program and started using it in my program, which was phenomenal. But it still seemed like, but I wrote the book and the book is pretty cohesive. And then Stacy showed up. And now it's like every day is just more unbelievable. But the other thing that it's done for me in how I approach life is, because I've had distance from the book now, I don't have attachment to all of it. I can take her, she sends me all of her edits, and I don't even read what she edited. I just read the book. And as long as it's still in alignment with what I know the book is about, I'm satisfied. And if I find a place that it's not, it's because she chose a word that doesn't resonate for me, or she altered a concept just a hair, and I have to go back and readjust it so that it stays in context to what the translation was to begin with. And what a way to do a book editing. I don't have to look at all the nonsense. I can just look at this clean page and go, feel. How does this feel? This feels amazing. So
beautiful.
I did not intend for this to be a sideshow of all the wonderful things we do in our lives, but it's important because I think the examples show really effectively how important what we're talking about is, how important it is in the wellness process of setting that foundation and really being able to get conscious at every level of your experience.
I love your story about the timing of everything, because a big key to what we were saying, a big key to this manifesting is to be able to let go of that attachment, right? To the outcome. And the fact that you did the work, but you did the work over a year ago, so you've kind of lost a connection to, that time invested, I suppose. If you had gone straight into launch mode after that, you'd have this very vested interest in this being successful, because I've just spent so many hours for the last few years doing this, and I feel that quite intensely. The fact that that's now gone, a whole year has passed, it's just not even it's not a factor that's coming into things, and that is allowing you or helping you to let go of the outcome of when and how this is launched. I like that. That's key. Yeah. So if you can't do it for yourself, give yourself that time, I guess, for it to drop away naturally.
Truly, but it's also remembering too that I've got to maintain the focus. I think one of the other things that changed is that I thought that I had to. I think in terms of desire having to have purpose, meaning. It's got to be important. It's got to be significant. It's got to be something the universe. So this is no different than the religious construct. So God will appreciate me. No. That's not why we're here. I can have a book published just because I want to publish, just because I want to do that. Now, does it mean it's going to be successful? Does it mean it's going to be anything? I don't know. But what I know is I'm giving my energy to it as fully and completely as possible. And again, how am I creating now and what am I manifesting now? Well, the change is that I focus my energy on what's happening with. So when I do my meditations every single day and I'm doing my appreciation work, When I talk about my book, I talk about the millions of people that are reading my book right now. I talk about the millions of people that are being impacted by the powerful concepts in this book, and how much I appreciate that all of these amazing people are opening their hearts to accept this information and allowing their soul to explode out of them and become this foundation for their transformation. That's the dialogue I have every single day about my book. I have the similar dialogue about my podcast. I have the similar dialogue about my relationship and about my body and about everything that occurred in the magic of today. You know, again, it's doing the work. You can do that in 10 minutes. You know, I happen to stay in it for half an hour because it's at night, and I love sitting in that energy, and I love that, and it's a building process. So it becomes such a sanctuary and a place of peace and joy to be there. So, so creating now, I'm actively engaged in creating, and I'm actively involved in manifesting. And if I see something amiss in either one, all I have to do is step back, breathe into it, and just observe, what is it? Is it something that needs attention, or is it just the tail ends of an old belief system trying to wend its way into my experience? You know, it can be any number of things, but I think you can tell through the way I talk about it that if there was resistance, you would hear the resistance as I talk about it. I don't, that's the other piece of this, is losing all resistance, just choosing not to go there, period, for any reason or any circumstances, and saying, you know, no, resistance is just not my thing anymore. You know?
Absolutely. I noticed as soon as you introduced this topic, that, you know, you were coming from a place of when the book comes out, it's going to be a great success. You didn't use those exact words, but it was along those lines. And the first thing that popped into my head is, wow, he's manifesting the success right now, just in the way he's embodying it right now. And that's fantastic. And that's because you've lost you're losing attachment to any resistance. You've just chosen not to resist. Why would you want to put things in the way of the path of what you're really trying to manifest?
And we do it all the time, but that's the beauty of letting go of the hows and preparing yourself by doing your work, doing your contemplation, your meditation, your whatever it is that brings you to center, and allowing that,
being aware of that thought.
Yes.
Be aware of that resistant thought that just entered your mind. Stop, breathe. You know, sit with it. Say, isn't that interesting? Observe it. Be aware of it. Let it settle in. Just explore that. Yeah, absolutely. But coming at it from a point of that doesn't have to be me. That doesn't have to be something I hold on to. Maybe it's something I just need to process and let go of and transfuse. Yeah.
Or just be aware of. Just simply notice it because it was important to how you were and not how you are. And those are the best. Those are the best, juiciest, fabulous moments when you watch the thing that you used to be go away because the thing that you are is so much better and so much greater and so much fuller and so much more joyful. And you just thank you for being here to get me to here. Thank you for being a part of my experience, because now